Mikel, were you happy with the way and the manner in which you came back into this contest? Can you explain why?
No, because what we did in the first half, in the first 20 minutes, is nowhere near the level. So to do it after is too late. Yeah, we reacted, great, but the standards in those 20 minutes was unacceptable.
What do you put down to that first opening 20 minutes? Can you explain what they are? No?
I already done in the dressing room, yeah.
But you got a reaction in the second half, at half-time. So what did you say at half-time to your players?
It's about action, not reaction.
Was it the emotion attached to what happened in midweek, maybe why your players, you feel, weren't on it in the first 20 minutes or so?
Then you don't have to be fighting for trophies, because when you fight for trophies, you might win it, you might lose it, and then it's another one, and that's it. So that's the level that we have to ask ourselves. You know, you just accept things, in my opinion, not acceptable.
Not accepting things, but how hard then, how much weight is on these players to win something, to have that mentality to overcome all of this?
There's no way to win. It's that you have to be. Nobody can promise that you win. They cannot promise you do what you want, you go in the market. Nobody's going to promise. You're going to have 6-7 people just praying to be in Champions League first, and then see we can win a silverware next season. That's it. It's not about that. It's just doing the basics, the simple thing that you can dominate. I'm not asking anybody to dribble 2 players, put it in the top corner. Never going to do that.
What reaction then are you expecting from your players to see in the next 2 remaining games that you have? Because the game against Newcastle is so important for you.
Yeah, the action that we had after those 20-25 minutes, and especially in the second half. That's what not me, them. It's not about me, ask him. It's not about that.
How much more then, if it's not you, how much more can you get out of that group of players, because your standards are so high?
No, my responsibility. That's when the team plays like this. That's on me. 20 minutes, yeah, that's on me for sure.
Are you suggesting then that the players perhaps aren't at the level that you want them to be at, if it's not down to you?
Today, no, and it's not about the players, yeah? It's about we. It's not here, players, manager, nothing. Nobody accepts those standards, and they will have to be nowhere near. What we did in the second half, with all respect, with all the things that we have to be in the position that we are in, 15 points, I mean, it hurts. It has to hurt a lot. Well, regardless of all the excuses, and it's the 6 times we play with 10 men, 6 times this season. And all the injuries, we have half of the team, half of the starters not starting. It doesn't matter. Still, look what we can do when we are there. So that's it, that's the standards.
Okay, no, I've got a couple more to ask, if that's possible. When you say about the standards then, is it about the emotions, how your players deal in a match?
No. It's about that we respect the game in a manner that we plan and we have to do. That's it.
Well, that was an extremely strong reaction from Mikel Arteta there. 15 points has to hurt, as you do, suggesting the players aren't hurt by it, or?
You could see he's obviously had a tough week, and let's face it, he's had a very tough season with what's happening with what people say about him, to win a trophy, trying to win a trophy. If we do get something off from Newcastle and beat Southampton, it'll be the 3rd season on the spin that we finished 2nd. And, judging by that interview, it just felt to me like he's just, with everything that's happened up to this point, that first half and how slack and how lax it was, it's not acceptable for him. His standards are high, even though we're out of everything, apart from the Champions League. He wants to see them finish strong. He didn't make excuses about the injuries, didn't make excuses about the sending offs. He was just disappointed in the way that they started, and this is why he's like he is. This is why I'm delighted that he's the manager, because he will never be satisfied. He won't take that kind of performance in the first half, and I'm sure he'll let them know. And what I'm hoping, Steve, is that the summer, because we missed it out the last summer, is that he makes the kind of signings that will come in and reiterate everything what he wants from his team, whether it's goal-scoring players, defensive players, whoever it is. Ideally, we can get some goal-scoring players, but he just needs to now, him and Andrea Berta, bring in the kind of players that can really take him to that next place, because what he was saying about that first 20 minutes sounds to me like he's just absolutely fuming. I've not seen him that bad in an interview before in respect of how angry he was. He was steaming.
It's not for me.
2 top teams who've given it everything here at Anfield this afternoon. Liverpool on top in the first half. Great fight back from Arsenal. So it leaves us still, as you were, with Liverpool leading Arsenal by 15 points, 19 the record margin of victory in the Premier League. That is still possible, and Arsenal have work to do to clinch their place still in the Champions League next season. It's been a really good day for Newcastle United, the only winners in that top five. Villa yesterday clinching that really important victory over Bournemouth as well, and they play the two Europa League finalists in their final two games. Nottingham Forest now in 7th place, a point behind Chelsea, who they play on the final day. There are twists and turns to come for sure. If you were just switching on for the first time this season to see the Premier League table, you might be surprised to see Manchester United there in 16th place, 39 points on the board. And under Ruben Amorim, it's 6 wins out of 25 in the Premier League. And Spurs a place and a point below them in 17th. Right, we have 2 weekends. A really entertaining game at Anfield between the top 2. Did we just about get to the right result in the end, Jamie?
Yeah, I thought Arsenal, fair play to them, second half. You know, you're thinking, I thought that could go on and be sort of 3-4.
They had to really dig deep there, didn't
they? I mean, getting the early goal helps, of course it does, but Liverpool just took the foot off the pedal. But it must have took a lot considering what they've been through in the last couple of weeks. I mean, they've lost 3 games in a row. Then coming to Anfield, 2-0 down at half-time to get something out of it. And if it would have been 11v11, you know, I'm not sure the exact time that Moreno got sent off, but I think if it would have been 11v11, I think Arsenal probably would have looked a more likely team going forward to actually want to win the game.
79th minute.
Thanks, Dave.
I didn't want to come in, but I didn't want to interject.
Do you agree? Were they the more likely side at that stage?
Yeah, I think there was growing confidence in that second half. I think the tactical tweak putting Martinelli down the centre, Trossard a bit more to the left, and they just grew in confidence, you know. I think you don't want the season to fizzle out, and they made sure that didn't happen. I mean, you don't want to be embarrassed here. I mean, it's like Jamie said against PSG, it was a tough one to take, so they was looking for reaction. Didn't get in the first half, but in the second half they did.
Certainly a really good start for Liverpool. Arsenal seemed to have a lot of the early possession, but Liverpool just had the cutting edge.
Yeah, I mean, Liverpool sort of get through them with the ball here, but I thought Liverpool's counter-attack in the first half was devastating. But Saliba, it's really interesting, Saliba. I'm a massive fan of his. It's my position. I think he's out of position there initially. He should be covering Ben White for that reason. You know, if your mate needs a little bit of help. And this is where I want to see real leadership, more from Saliba.
So he's the one who's got to organise there, isn't he?
Well, to get run out and check where Ben White is, you know he's not at right back. You must know he's behind you. And they leave that space because they're a little bit all over the place.
So quick.
It does, but if you look at Carragher in the centre as well, Skelly can deal with it. When he sees the 2 in front of him, can he get across and just help his teammates out? And I know it happens very quickly, but he's the one who can organise it because the other 2 are out of position.
And it was a big setback for Arsenal, clearly. They're 2 down 87 seconds later.
Yeah, I just thought it was a really well-worked goal from Liverpool.
I was looking at Saliba on the first goal. He's not great on the second goal. And for me, I think he is one of the top centre-backs in European football. I've got no doubt about that. And as a partnership, him and Gabriel, as good as anything in the Premier League. I think Saliba's the better player, but I think Gabriel's the better leader. And he needs to bring that to his game if he wants to get to sort of the levels of what we talk about Virgil van Dijk.
So at the moment, do they almost sort of need each other in that
He needs Gabriel. I think since Gabriel has come out of the team, that's not the same Saliba I've watched. The amount of mistakes he's made in the last couple of months, it feels like he makes a big mistake every game.
But is that something that does come, you know, in terms of more experience, more years, more confidence?
I mean, how old is he now? Is he 24, 25 now?
You're asking a lot of questions, Jamie.
No, what I'm saying is he's not a kid, and he's probably not quite in his prime, but I'd be hoping that... So when you're a centre-back, I'd be hoping now that, OK, this guy next to me is the leader.
So 24.
OK, when he moves away, you've got to then become the leader of that back four and organise people and not just play your own game. For me, the great centre-backs, it's not about how good you are and what everything you can do. Oh, he's great in the air, he's got great pace, he's on the ball. You want all that, but you need to affect other people. Think of the great centre-backs down there. Think of Tony Adams. Think of Virgil van Dijk here. They're not just great players. They make everybody else around them look like great players. And that's the thing that I think is still lacking with Saliba. Without Gabriel, he doesn't look the same player. And that's not something you want to be labelled as. I mean, I'd be embarrassed if I was playing centre-back for Liverpool and people saying he's not the same player without him next to him. Yeah. Now, we say that about a lot of Liverpool centre-backs when Virgil van Dijk's not there. but he's very rarely out, and he makes the person alongside him look like a top player. And if I'm being totally honest, a lot of the Liverpool centre-backs over the last 3 or 4 years, I think Liverpool supporters think they're a lot better than they actually are because of who they were playing alongside.
Can I just ask you though, as the game moved on, because you talk about positioning, you was always about positioning, being in the right spot, and I played centre half a lot of games, but mainly at right back. But is it because they're asked, what they're asked to do on the ball while they're getting into these positions? So a lot of the mistakes that you're talking about, some of them have been on the ball, the way he wants to play and sort of push into midfield at times, then he's getting caught. So on the first goal, you mentioned about him being really high, but as a coach, as Arteta, he might want him to be really high though. So are we being too critical in terms of them when they're on?
I'm not one of them who, there's certain people, sometimes I hear people say, oh, the centre-backs were better 10, 15, 20 years ago when I was playing. That is absolute rubbish. Centre-back now, for me, is the hardest position to play on the pitch. What you're asked to do on the ball from the goalkeeper, you're asked to be like a midfield player, you're asked to push up to the halfway line, you've got to have the pace of a striker. There's no doubt for me, centre-backs now, how good they are, they're better than what we've seen before, or they're asked to do a lot more. Whether those players of the past could do that today, I think a lot of them could, but it's a very demanding position. But on the first one, we talk about man-to-man. He goes in there. There's only one man. They've got 2 centre-backs. Eventually, Kivior comes across and takes him. You've got to understand the game and read the game. My mate needs help. You've got to cover Ben White. He's just in no man's land again. But I don't see him sort of... I'm still waiting to see that next step of becoming a great... He's a top player. He's got everything you'd want. But to make that next step of being alongside those people I'm just saying before, Tony Adams in an Arsenal shirt, Virgil van Dijk in a Liverpool shirt, you've got to make that next step, and that is about becoming a leader.
So how did Arsenal find their way back into it, Micah, at the start of the second half?
Certain Champions League. I tell you what, Wright, it sets up next Sunday when you and I will be in these seats for Arsenal, Newcastle, knowing that if they get over the line, that's it with a game to spare.
Yeah, because there was a time, especially in the first half of this one, Steve, where I was very worried about the physical state and the mental state of the team. I mentioned the tough week that they've had. Must be very tough for them then to come into this game. You could see they weren't quite themselves. The amount of spaces that was left, and obviously Liverpool going 2 up. But I think at half-time, like I mentioned, he needs to get them going, because this could be embarrassing otherwise. And they did it again. They showed remarkable grit again and going into that mental reserve, what they did, and pulled it back out of fire. Because I think the Newcastle game is going to be a tough game. They're very buoyant up there at the moment. They've got great momentum. It'll be a tough one to go up there and get anything. But going up there now, knowing that you only need a point there maybe, and then you've got Southampton, which we're hoping that they probably beat, it's a lot easier. They do need a little bit of a break in respect to games for me in what they've had to achieve over the last few weeks. So that was a good result in the end, Steve, I think, going to Newcastle, like you say.
Yeah, because they are running on empty. We saw Trossard pull his hamstring. Marino is obviously now suspended as well for the Newcastle game. It's all hands to the pump just to get over the line.
It is, and one of the things that's quite annoying to hear is you don't really hear the manager talking about the injuries too many times, but people talking about Arsenal regressing this season, and yeah, we have. I think from a points tally, we've regressed from scoring goals as well. You have to say we have regressed in the way we've played, but the points tally is the same. But when you look at the injuries, you have to see that has made a major dent in what Arsenal are trying to do this season, and still Arsenal are still fighting for second right at the end of the season, going deep into the Champions League. They have to take something in respects of the way that those players who have been fit have tried their very best to get there, and unfortunately it was just too much in the end. You can see our bench, you can see there's nothing coming off the bench. There's nothing come off the bench for a couple of months now in respects of someone come on and change the game. So I think they've done unbelievably with what they've ended up with in respects of a squad. Yeah,
Michael, to put it into context, when you have such a low like they did in the week, not getting the better of Paris Saint-Germain, and the physical demands today to go away to that atmosphere and the home of the champions who could play with freedom, 2 down, to get something out of it.
Yeah, absolutely. The physical demands are great, obviously mental ones as well. But I think when you get to this stage of the season, you're not necessarily playing against lesser teams whereby you might go 2-3-0 up, and really you only have to push yourself for 50, 60 minutes to get 3-0 up, and then you can coast. The next day you don't really feel the effects. When you're playing against the likes of Paris Saint-Germain or Liverpool, you're having to push yourself for the whole 90 minutes. They're tough, really tough games. So and they're coming thick and fast. But listen, if they finish second in the league, semi-finals of the Champions League. I know Arsenal fans might be a little bit disappointed, but it's a very, very solid season.
Brilliant. Indeed. OK, let's speak to one of their heroes in that comeback at Anfield, Gabriel Martinelli, who got things going after 88 seconds of that second half. Gabby, well done for coming out and speaking to us and after that result. I mean, what a start you gave your team at the start of the second half. What was the message at half-time?
That we needed to do better in the second half, and yeah, we started pretty well with the goal. We knew that we could beat them. Of course, we didn't start the first half well, but at half-time we talked and we just went to the second half with a different mentality, and yeah, we did it. Of course, we wanted to win the game, but we take the point here. It's never easy to come here and play against them.
You know, it's 8.5 years since anyone did that from Liverpool at Anfield when there were 2 goals to the good. So well done. But how much did you have to dig deep to get that comeback over the line?
I mean, it's never easy to come here and play against this team. We know how hard it is, but we know our qualities as well. We know what we can do. Of course, it's been a difficult week after the game against PSG. We got disappointed, but we have to move on, you know. And we came here with the mentality to win the game.
Gabby, how you doing, my friend? Unlucky this week, but fantastic today. I thought you was man of the match for us today. I just wanted to say, Gabby, in respect of your mental, how you feel mentally, going in at 2-0 down and then coming and getting a result and a game. We kind of need the result because of Newcastle. Where did that come from, Gabby? What was said at half-time? Was everybody shouting? What was it like in the dressing room?
Legend, you okay? It's always good to talk to you.
I love you, my friend.
I love you too. You know how it is to play for this football club. We never give up, and this is what we talked at halftime, that we couldn't play the same way that we did in the first half, that we could do better. We just stick together, and we did pretty well in the second half. In the beginning, we just scored the goal, and we just went for it.
Nice one.
Gabby, it's Michael Owen here. I've been reliably informed for Arsenal. Just talk us through your goal. We can have a look at it now. You just managed to pull away from Virgil van Dijk, I think, and obviously find the far corner.
Yeah, I mean, I just was speaking to Leo so he could go out, and I tried to stay in between them because they are so tall, and I wouldn't have any chance if I was close to them. So I just tried to be in between, and when the ball was coming, I just thought about putting it in the net.
And Gabby, you've now scored more goals against Liverpool than any other team in an Arsenal shirt. And let me tell you this, the legend here scored as many goals as you have at Anfield against Liverpool. So there you go. Dizzy heights.
Gabby's a legend.
No. It's really good to know that, but he's the legend. I just try to do my best.
And just quickly, big game now for Newcastle. If you win that, you can relax and you're in the Champions League.
Yeah, I mean, we still have 2 games to go. We have to win those 2. We go to the games to win. This is what we need to do.
Well done today. Thanks for joining us.
Safe trip back, my friend.
Thank you, guys.
God bless.
Take care.
That is Gabriel Martinelli.
One of them. And yeah, he'll be sick, as I was.
Yeah, because to put into context, you went back with Newcastle, having desperately tried to go back to Liverpool.
Yeah, I've spoken about it before. It still affects me a little bit to this day, as you probably know, Steve. And I just, yeah, I think he's very similar to me. He's been at the academy since he was a tiny little tot. And, you know, that club is absolutely in his heart. And just because he thinks he should just try something different in his life, just, you know, that won't take away his love for the club, is where his heart is, where he's grown up, all those things. And then for his own people to boo him, it's a big lump in your throat. I remember sitting in the players' lounge after playing against Liverpool for Newcastle, parents, myself, all in floods of tears because I'd just been booed by my own people, and I struggle to comprehend it nowadays. So I as I say, I'm probably the closest person on the planet that knows exactly what it feels like to be in Trent's shoes now. So he'll be mortal.
Like for him to be leaving for free, Steve, seems to be not enough for them to be as angry as they are. They surely have to be able to look at what he's done for them, how hard it is. I thought his statement towards the fans was fantastic. How hard it is for him to make that decision and who's making the decision to try and take him. I think for them to be like this and knowing the stories about what happens with Stevie and everything, it really is disgusting to the core how they're treating him.
I think Wright, he touched on a really important thing there. I mean, Liverpool fans are so unique. They will never, ever boo their own. When you're playing in that red shirt, even if you're the worst player on the planet, if you're playing in that red shirt, you're one of them. Yeah. And I've been to other clubs, I've seen it. They will boo their own just because of bad performances. Liverpool fans are so in love, so, connected to their team. It's a unique, what we saw, the scenes we saw when they won the league, it's incredible how passionate they are for their team. They would do anything for their own. However, as Wright has just touched on, if then they know you're leaving or something, untoward happens or wrong happens or whatever in their eyes, then of course they will let you know then, and they let me know, they let Trent know,
yep.
Steve McManaman, before me, etc., etc. So, I'm sure lots of Liverpool fans will be churning in their stomach themselves. Probably 95% of Liverpool fans will be saying, we weren't booing, we've loved Trent,
sounded like a lot,
etc.
Sounded like a lot.
And when I meet people in the street, every single person says it to me. We remember the good days, we remember the FA Cup final, we remember the, however many goals you scored, etc., etc. They say that, but of course, Trent will leave now knowing that, well, his second to last game, and maybe even his last game, there were people that booed him, and you can't get that out of your head. Despite what's happened for the last, 20 years of his life of pure adulation, the one thing I remember now is I forget a lot of them. I just think, yeah, but they booed me at the end. Yeah. And it just makes you feel absolutely sick for what you did for the club.
Yeah.